Okay, hold on. Right. So, Alex, you were saying that Cliff is someone who's very, very passionate about this entire thing about leadership and training. When you say training, do you mean like training the people in his team, or are you talking about someone else?
Not only people in his team, he actually comes forward to train everybody in the whole district. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, he is someone who gives a lot of himself to help other people. He's got a very service mindset. Am I right to say that?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. I'd like to hear from Chin Long. Chin Long, what do you think? Who is a leader that you really, really look up to?
Actually, to be honest, I'm a new leader, so I have never really worked with a lot of leader before, like what I explained just now. So to be able to even go into admire, I think not yet, because I don't have so much reference as of now. Yeah, so what I can see is the leader that I'm working, uh, I have only been working with only like two to three leaders. Right? So most of the leaders that I work with, they exhibit the same kind of leadership skill that I would want them to exhibit. Like they will really give whatever they know. They will not be selfish in sharing their knowledge. So it's very hard for me to see to differentiate out as of now. Yeah,
Okay.
because it's not like like what I explained just now. Most of the time, last time I work with is all like manager, all the normal managers and all the more normal leadership, uh, like my higher hierarchy. They just want to get the job done. So it's totally different. So that's why for me is I still don't know who is the one that I really admire. Like, first, that's why I feel. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you the other question. Is there some leadership styles that you don't admire? That means you don't like certain characteristics of certain leaders that you can maybe share with us.
Okay, for leaders, that okay,
It means a negative example, negative example.
negative example. Okay, I like to work with leaders that can actually look very very far. Okay, and not just because for some. Okay, I remember last time in one of the job contexts, one of the part-time job contexts, the so-called leader that I work with, right? They just want to get the things done. They don't care how you get it done. They just want to get the things done. But once the thing get done, right? They didn't know that actually the type of method that they use, right? Actually, the present thing is done, but it created a lot more problem for the future thing. So I hate this kind of leader where they don't really think far. They just want it right
Ah,
now the problem to be solved. Then
very
other things,
instant gratification, very
yeah, yeah, yeah,
instant
yeah. So
solution.
correct.
Okay.
So they rather have the thing settled now, but then after that, because of they settle one issue, right, it created much more problem. And all these problem is like not their none of their business. Because
Mm,
how to say it's not their department, it's another department. So they don't
mm.
really care. Yeah, they don't really care. They just want to get it done. They don't matter if it created another problem. Yeah. So that's what I see in the culture. I think most of the not say most of what is happening out there. They just want to get it
Mm,
done. Yeah, which is what I don't like. They don't really see far. Yeah.
okay. I want to ask Mark also. I'm very curious. Mark, any leader that or leadership style that you don't admire? Maybe we start with that first.
Yeah. For me, I actually had an interesting encounter in one of my earlier jobs where I was actually doing telemarketing for conference tickets.
Mm,
So the leader that I worked with, or the person who was in charge of me, basically told me to just uh, lie and to just get on the phone and do whatever you need to do to speak to the person who can make a decision. And he is actually someone. He was actually really proud of the way he went about it. And he's like, okay, look, I'll show you how to do it. And he's on the phone and he's telling the secretary or somebody that of the boss that he wants to speak, that look, I'm at the airport now. My battery is running out. I need to speak to your boss now. That sort of thing. And to just get it done, is it? And he actually encouraged us to tell lies and to do it that way. And I left the job after a month because I really couldn't take this sort of thing. But it really gave me an example of what not to be in a leader. I mean, dishonesty aside, I mean, the fact that he actually just just insisted for things to be done his way, for things to be done in a way that even though I'm not comfortable with, he just wanted us to just barrel through and continue in that sort of
Wow.
yeah, I guess
That's more like imposing his way and thinking it is the norm or it is how we survive is the only way to do things like it's like my way or the highway kind of approach, right? Was he open to other ways of doing it, or was he insisting on must do it this way only?
He was pretty insistent. He was like, this is the only way you're going to get it done, and you'll have to do it this way, regard, you don't have to bother. It doesn't matter because we just need to sell. And I guess that was what really gave me gave me some sort of red flags with regards to the job, which is why I left that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a huge red flag down there. So interesting, because what Chin Long said is also very similar to what you're saying, which is we focus on the instant result first and not look into the long term. And in fact, you never know how this may actually backfire on you sometime in the future as well, especially when you're doing something that you're not comfortable with. You're not comfortable with the identity of doing something that you haven't done before and you don't think it's appropriate. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question as well. Like, now that you all are leaders, right, what do you think is your specific leadership style? So to give some context, there are different types of leadership style. Last time there is the military style leadership, a very authoritative, a very command and control based, right? Then there's the laissez-faire, that word, very relaxed. They say, I just go and do anything yourself. I don't really need to, don't bother me. Just don't bother me. You just do it yourself, manage yourself, right? That one is the throw you in the water and let you swim type. And then there is the coach and the mentor and the one who is firm, but at the same time, very kind and stuff. So we have different styles of leadership, right? Have you all kind of identified what is your leadership style, or what is the kind of style that appeals to you as a follower? Maybe you start with Alex.
Yeah, I think for a start, my style would be managing every agent differently. I mean, because we believe that all agents are different. Of course, we need to set a good guide for them to follow as well, lah. But of course, to manage them differently, because when we come across different personalities, different characteristics of individual agents, right? So there are times whereby we need to handle them very individually and also according to the situation that they have. That's what I feel.
Okay, so it's more of catering to who you're dealing with in front of you, right? And not being fixated on one specific style. Am I right to say that?
But of course, we're having a fixed guideline as well for them to follow, and strategy for them to work along with as well. So we have a fixed strategy or guideline for them to follow as well. But I think that must be in place, because for them to succeed, we need some kind of strategy in place, some guidelines.
Yeah. I guess some way of scaffolding to help them to really build their way in, right? To really help them get their reps in, get their momentum in. Okay, what about you, Chin Long? What do you think is your leadership style?
I think in today's world, right, things move pretty fast. Okay, and people can just also find a job even once they're not happy. So I think most people are looking for a friendship kind of relationship. So that they will not treat you as a so-called a boss, because how I say that? Because for me is I don't really treat my guys so strict. Okay, they are free to do what they want. Okay, however, there's a guideline there, like what Alex say, there's a guideline there that must adhere to the company guideline, they must adhere to the district
policy.
guideline. Something like that. So what I feel is they want more of a friend that they can reach out to, and then they want someone that's more knowledgeable to reach out to. Because things are moving so fast. One thing is so in a way, if you do not keep up with, if I as a leader I don't keep up with today's times, and also I'm not like a friend to them, right? For them it's very easy. I will just say goodbye. I'll move on to another phase already. Yeah, so that's what I feel. I rather keep the the momentum as a friend, and then can, because as a friend it's easier to coach, it's easier to so-called mentor also, to teach them stuff. So they will be, so they'll be willing to trust you a bit more than being a authoritative figure lah. And plus now switching job is so easy. They don't want, they can just move on. Yeah, so that's why I feel this is what is needed lah, to get it.
So having more of a friendship and a coach and a mentor style is what you prefer. Okay, what about you, Mark? What's your take?
Yeah, actually, what both Jin Long and Alex said, right? It actually gels a lot with something that people don't realize, which is the consistent theme that they actually mentioned was guidelines. Right? And people seem to forget, or leaders, when they are put in a management or a leadership position, they forget that these are exactly just guidelines. It is not the law, it is not the rules. But a lot of leaders, nowadays tend to hold the guidelines over people and say, this is the way it has to be done. Look at all these things. But they forget that guidelines are just to guide you. If I want to go to Changi from Jurong, I can take a few different routes. It doesn't always have to be one straight, AYE, ECP. It can be different ways, and it might not be, it might not be longer, it might not be, one might not be better than the other. So, it's important for leaders to know that guidelines are just that, guidelines. But also for me as a leader, I think it's really important to also be able to communicate, talking to somebody or speaking to somebody is different from communicating. Sometimes leaders have a sort of mindset that, look, I'm just coming to my office, and this is what you have to do. Okay, get it done. But that's really more of a one-way, sort of one-way conversation. It's not really a communication. You're not actually trying to understand how any difficulties a person might have, a difference in mindset that you might have from the person. Yeah, and that might ultimately lead to a big clash in opinions, or certain struggles that the person might not be able to articulate to you because he doesn't feel that you're able to talk to. Yeah, he's able to talk to you. So I think communication is really important, and also to remember that as a leader, sometimes it's also important to realize that there are things that you still don't know. And your guys can actually also teach you things that you might have overlooked at this point in time, or as a leader. So it's important to have an open mind, I guess, as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of this phrase that, last time it used to be rank over relationship. Like, I have the rank, so you listen to me, very military style, right? I think the baby boomers, they actually grew up with parents who were in the military or in those kind of very stressful times. So just listen to what I say, don't question me, kind of a style. But I think as time has progressed, as opportunities have widened, like Chin Long said, right, so many career opportunities out there today, right? People tend to value the relationship more than rank, right? So I think that's one key thing. Another key thing that I also believe, right, is about psychological safety, like what Mark, you were saying, right? For them to be able to open up to you, first they must have that psychological safety to feel that you won't make fun of them, you won't punish them, or you won't like make them feel like they're not good enough, something like that. Sometimes leaders tend to do that, like, well, this simple thing also you don't know how to do, that kind of a simple sentence can be very harmful, and it can in fact damage their self-esteem as well. So I can see that it's more about building a relationship and kind of being in service of the people that are under your team as well. That is being said by all three of you here. Okay, so let me ask you all this question: how do you think your leadership style will be different from the previous generation? So it doesn't have to be, but if there are any differences, can you point out what are some things you like to do differently compared to some of the leadership style that you've observed in the past? Chin Long?
I think for me, right, because I see what my mentor do, right. I think it's about the same, not much different. Yeah, because what they do is also mostly on relationship first. Yeah,
Okay.
the style, the authoritative figure there is not really there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any different opinions from you, Mark or Alex? Any differences? It doesn't have to be your own leader, lah. I mean, it can be anyone that you have noticed who tend to follow a certain leadership style.
I think it really depends on the individual as well, right?
Mhm.
But I realize that now leaders are, one of the things that they're actually doing is actually uh, listening before they actually speak. A lot of times before they listen to anything or that their team or their person has or anybody that they're managing has to say, they already have a preconceived mindset, or they have already something that they want to say and they don't bother to listen, right? But
Mm.
nowadays it's a lot more of, okay, let's talk about this situation that you're having. Why don't you tell me what are difficulties that you're having, and then we discuss. The old way, a lot of times it used to be like, hey, this is how it's supposed to be done, just do it. So I think
Mm.
with this sort of listening here, I think it opens up a safe space for people to speak to their leaders,
Yeah.
to try
Two-way
to get a
dialogue.
better understanding. Exactly.
Nice, nice. Okay, so like, what do you think then is the next gen looking for? I mean, those who are now coming into the workforce, they are new, they are green, and they are looking up to their leader. What do you think they are expecting from their leader, Alex?
Yeah, I think nowadays youngsters, right? Most of them really like to get things done fast and
Mm.
also achieve fast results. So, but I think one thing that leaders can really look at is to maybe be different. I mean, try out new things as well.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
the old stuff may not still work anymore, lah. I mean, the old methods of coaching the agents. I mean, the old methods of agents engaging their clients may not be effective anymore. So I feel that we should maybe try out new stuff, like maybe like going forward. I think AI is one thing.
Mm.
Maybe try
Mm.
out
Mm.
some new innovation stuff, like how to engage the client and how to get things done effectively, lah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. 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 Nice. So being more, being much faster, and being more tech driven and tech focused, right? I think that is one thing that you mentioned. Okay. How about you, Chin Long? Any specific things you want to add on to that?
I think what they're looking for, maybe the leader are not so old fashioned. They are willing to try out new things. They are
Mm.
they are willing to be more open minded. They are
Mm.
willing to fork out to so called invest into different things in the industry. Because like what we'll be talking about, things move so fast.
Mm.
And
Mm.
then there are still some leaders, they don't dare to don't dare to step out of the comfort zone. They are safe with what they have. They don't want to go and touch new thing. Yeah. So
Mm.
and secondly is the vision part of. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if the leader cannot look far, they are not willing to invest in all these things. Then me as a new guy, if I come in, right, and I see my leader, this one also don't dare, that one also don't dare, then that's very hard already. Yeah, right. Even though the leader have the base characteristic, like character in their interact, all those normal leadership skill that they
Skills.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel this one is much more important. Yeah, because
Mm.
this is where the leader will bring the whole team to the next level. So I feel.
Mm. 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 Okay, okay. So for those of y'all who are also listening and watching this, right? If you want to be a leader that also is able to lead your people, please make sure that you also continuously work on yourself, right? Have a long-term vision, right? Continuously innovate, right? Learn, unlearn, and relearn, and make sure that you are doing that. So one of the key things that you can also learn from today is, if you type keen in the chat, in the comments, right, you will be able to access Udemy, which is a platform that allows you to learn about all these soft skills, hard skills, and you can do that for free, because for those of you who are based in Singapore, you have access to this. The Singapore government actually sponsors this, so don't miss out on it. Really type keen in the comments, and we'll teach you how you can access these courses that teach you all these leadership skills as well. It is something that is very useful, so please do consider it. Okay, now we're going to go into the last question, right? And the last question is basically this, right? What advice would you give individuals who are looking to pursue the leadership route? That means they are not yet a leader, they're thinking about being a leader. So what advice would you give them before they pursue that? Let's start with you, Mark.
Well, that's a good question. I think maybe one of the things I would like to point out is that it will take up a lot of your time. It's not easy being a leader. I think there's a lot of things that you will need to manage, in terms of people, in terms of time, and that can be something that can be a bit challenging, but it is also very rewarding if you are able to get it right. For in terms of being a leader, I think it's important to know that as a leader, you are more than just somebody that just directs people to do things or just gets people to get things, to do things. There is a lot more to it. It's in the name. I mean, you actually have to lead people, and guide them, and not just instruct them, so to say. So I think with that in mind, it's important to understand and communicate with each and every person that you're managing or you're leading, because like Alex mentioned earlier on, everybody responds differently. They respond to different things, and every individual is different. So what might work on one person might not be as effective on the next. So it's important to stay open-minded and to be able to really understand your guys before you sort of, I don't know, jump to conclusions, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's where also these Enneagram and other personality tools really help you as a leader, helps you understand yourself, helps you understand what are your strengths, what are your blind spots, and it also helps you understand the people in your team. It really helps you to know how to communicate with them and what are the things you should be communicate to them so that you can motivate them and inspire them, right? So for those of you interested in that, you can also scan this QR code, and then we will reach out to you and we'll share with you not just the personality test, but also get a free coaching session about how you can then analyze the results from this test, right? Because it is such a useful tool to have, and people pay hundreds of dollars for this, and you are able to claim this for free. So please do scan the QR code. Okay, let's move on to you, Alex. What do you think is some of the advice that the new leaders should heed before they step into leadership?
Yeah, I think what Mark mentioned, I think time management is very important.
Mm.
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, because as leaders, some of us may still be doing sales, so we need to juggle between sales and managing the agents. And I think it's good that we see agents coming in doing well, new agents doing well, and grooming them along the way. Yeah. Seeing them grow not only as a person but also in terms of their skill set.
Wow, wonderful. Okay, and Chin Long, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts. One thing like Mama say lah, they must be able to lead lah. They must be able to stand in front. Yeah.
Yes.
Be it go anywhere, they must be able to stand in front and not sit behind in the office just like that. Just give instructions. Yeah, that's totally different. Being a manager and being a supervisor. Okay, being a supervisor and being a leader is very different.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, they must have the courage. They must be willing to face the spotlight, right, and be accountable to the people that they are leading as well, right? Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of this session and sharing your thoughts on next gen leadership. I think as we go, leadership is also something that we pick up along the way. We learn lessons along the way. No one is perfect, and I think leadership is a lesson in continuously re-innovating yourself so that you can help the people under you, around you, and make them more motivated and energized to work together as a team. So thank you everyone for joining today. I hope you all had a very fruitful session. And for those of you who are watching, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for engaging with all of us while we're having these conversations. Your polls, your comments, all of these have been very, very useful in guiding us along the way. So thank you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.